This conference will now be recorded.
So as I indicated, the connection from Granville Street to Water Street and our built-up waterfront area, that will take that 18 lane from McQueen Street across all the way down, replacing our boardwalk, and then the final connection from what we sort of towards the end of the boardwalk back up to Granville Street. So many pieces to that. We have looked at sort of alternate connections and divided that into segments so that we were able to move a portion off that waterfront. Our actually biggest component of this project. We're able to move a portion of that, sort of the McSween Street to end of boardwalk sooner than we had originally planned and what we had discussed at our Wednesday planning meeting. The other component that we talked about is a better connection from Cardale Trail Court to the rest of town. So there's going to be two connections there. And the one we've added since from our planning meeting is starting at Gillis Crescent and then connecting through an accessible AT lane that will take us up that steep incline. Is about a 7-meter change in elevation, but through a little bit of retaining wall and using benching along that embankment that takes us right up to our crosswalk with a platform at our crosswalk and a very safe crossing or a much safer crossing at Reeve Street and Trunk 4. I'll just go through each of the components. The first one, as we talked about, we saw on our map. I'll just show you again. So this is what we call our Tamarack connection, which is the reconstruction of the old Tamarack connection starting at Old Sydney Road up to the Tamarack subdivision and into, again, low volume traffic residential area with some on-street means to walk and to bicycle on that route. And so it's going to be a significant improvement, meeting what we call our AAA compatibility, all different types of modes and users. So it's A is all ages and abilities. So designed, we'll improve the slopes and accessibility on that, widen it, and make it safer for persons to travel through town using that piece of existing roadway. Cost estimate for that piece total is $240,000. Next piece that we talk about is proposed multi-use pathway on Macquarie Drive extension, 3-meter wide asphalt surface, off-road. Again, it is AAA compatible and huge safety improvements. It's the community has really been asking for that connection for quite some time. Cost estimate on that piece and that connector piece is a total of $655,000 plus HST. And we'll go through the dollar value as we get to the end as well. Eastern Town connection. Again, we talked. There's two components of that, and I'll just go back to that very quickly. So we have two components. One component is increasing the safety, actually moving along Queen Street extension with an upgraded crosswalk, platforms on both sides, upgraded signalized intersection, AT lane that will take us to McLeod Street up to connection that we've already constructed that takes us to Reeve Street. The other connection that really arose from our planning session has an accessible pathway that will take us up to take the residents and others who wish to use it, a pathway that will take us up that embankment to the crosswalk and then enable future construction up Trunk 4, down Trunk 4, but directly for those residents, take them directly to the crosswalk and across Trunk 4 onto Reeve Street. The cost estimate for those two components is $370,000 plus HST. The other connection that we've talked about is the Reeve Street connection. That's extension of the existing AT lane for the remainder of Reeve Street. That's an off-road facility along Reeve Street. Again, all ages and abilities compatible. Huge safety improvements for walkers and those other users on Reeve Street. And the total estimate for that is $425,000. And that project comes at, and we'll get into scheduling, but that comes at the end of the project in year 5. The other component, which is the largest component, is a proposed multi-use pathway, 3 meters wide, that would connect existing facilities on Reeve Street. That's at the sort of the, I guess would say the southern boundary or the western boundary of Reeve Street along Granville Street with a connection to eventually to Old Sydney Road. Again, AAA compatible, huge safety improvements with both on-road and off-road facilities on this concept. Total concept we call Concept A, which you've seen in the drawing, is $1,250,000. So again, that's connecting Reeve Street both at. So, Councillor McDougall, did you have a question for your worship?
No, your worship, I just a correction there. I think it's 205, not 250, isn't it? 1,205,000 as opposed to 1,250,000. That's what I got anyway.
Okay, sure. Thank you. We'll just go back to that. So map is up now. So again, that's a connection through Emery's Island, connecting Reeve Street to Granville Street, along Granville Street, along the water as far as we can get, partially along Granville Street, and then this whole connection on Water Street back up to Granville Street. So this is the breakdown of costs and implementation. So first year of construction, we're hoping to have, if we have a motion approved tonight, and this application go forward to the final levels of approval, we'll see in the first year, 2021-22, that's starting at the end of March, 1st of April this year, is engineering on the Tamarack route, the Macquarie Drive extension route, and Waterfront Phase 1. Waterfront Phase 1 is that part along Water Street, the existing boardwalk, and from along McQueen Street, Water Street, along the boardwalk. We would see, just because of timing, we would see construction in that year off the Tamarack connection. And the total cost of that is $367,000 with a town contribution of $103,000 for that connection. Second phase in 2022-23, we'll see engineering completed for the Eastern Town connection, construction off the Macquarie Drive extension project, total cost of $622,000, and a cost total contribution to the town not exceeding $175,000. 2023-24 Waterfront Phase 2. That's the rest of the waterfront piece, and then we would see implementation off the Eastern Town project and Waterfront Phase 1. Again, that's Phase 1 is from along McQueen Street, Granville Street to Water Street, along Water Street. Total value of that's our largest implementation. This is our largest implementation year at an estimated cost not to exceed $886,000 with our contribution of $249,000 in that year. Phase 4, which is year 24-25, fiscal year 24-25, that's design of the Reeve Street connection, and implementation of the Waterfront Phase 2 connection. That's a total cost of $627,000 with our contribution of $176,000 in that fiscal year. Final project in Phase 5, that's the fiscal year 25-26. That sees our design is complete except for construction phase services in that year, and that'll see the completion of the Reeve Street project at a total cost before tax of 381, and our total contribution of 107. So the total value that's been amended from our discussions in the planning session and refining our estimates is total cost with non-tax, non-rebatable HST. That's our component of HST included. It's just over $3 million with our town contribution not to exceed $812,000. And I use the not to exceed value very realistically, and we very much hope that we're going to be able to reduce that down to a more manageable number, possibly down as low as $670,000. But at this time, at application process, with contingencies included, and really at the phase that we're at with concept design, we're estimating a town contribution not to exceed $812,000. That does include some ability to react to and implement a different configuration specifically for the waterfront trail. So I'd open it up to questions at this time, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Terry. I know Council's received, I guess, some reviews of this project a few times, but if there's any other lingering questions or points of clarification you require from staff, I'd like to open up the floor for any if at this time. Councillor Aucoin.
Through your worship to Terry, on the construction of the Tamarack connection, whereabouts on the old Sydney Road do we start repaving?
So there's an existing trail now. So we'll see some upgrades to what the sort of a piece of abandoned highway that runs along the graveyard. So we start. There's some bollards there now. So formally we're looking at where those bollards start and running up through to Block Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Any follow-up questions, Councillor Aucoin?
I'm good for now, thanks.
Okay, Councillor McDougall, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, Deputy Mayor McCrory.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, to Terry. Terry, the sheet that we have from WSP showing 4 sections of the waterfront trail, is A and B going to be in the first year, or not the first year, but the third year, and C and D in the 4th year or the 5th year?
So when we refer to phase 1, phase 1 is the AT lane from McSween Street. Just if you follow my cursor down to Water Street and to the end of the boardwalk. So that's what's included in phase 1. And phase 1, design completed this fiscal year, and implementation 23-24. So the implementation was derived around trying to balance the amount of expenditures and by the fiscal year, and also just having designs ready for tender and being able to move forward at that time. So that's where we're at. So phase 2 is actually the rest of the waterfront project.
Any follow-up questions, Deputy Mayor?
So phase 1 then, Terry, that's segment A. Is that on that WSP sheet that we have?
phase one to be completed that I indicated for early completion. That's why we broke this into segments. Is actually C. It's from McQueen Street down to Water Street and along Water Street, on the existing boardwalk to the end of the boardwalk.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Did you have any follow-up questions?
No, that's great. Thank you.
No problem. Councillor McIver?
Yes, Your Worship, just one question on the, I guess, the timing of each part of the project. The Reeve Street part of it, with the pilot project being or going to be completed in the next year and a half, if TIR are going to reconstruct the street in favor of what it is now, is this project 24-25 for Reeve Street, is that in stone, or can it be moved up to be in conjunction with the realignment of the road?
Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor McIver. So the engineering can be a bit fluid. We had to put in engineering to ensure that it met the delivery time for construction. But there will be some flexibility with respect to design. Should the change and should we be able to move forward with that and the pilot completed, there is some ability to change design. If curbs move and we're able to move forward sooner than that, we can certainly explore that with our partners. But this gives us adequate time for a number of scenarios around that project, there is enough flexibility to ensure that our design moves along with TIR design at the same time. Implementation is something that we can discuss, but this is what's going forward to the province and the federal government because it's achievable at this time.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions, Councillor McIver?
No, that answers, I guess my concern was if the pilot for Reeve Street was completed earlier and the construction, right, would it be wise to move that up and finish it while that was being done?
And coordinate with NSTIR.
Right, correct.
Okay, well, that's a good question. Thank you for that. Any other questions from council? And if there are none, if you're ready to call the question, please do.
Your Worship, this is the recommended motion from staff. And the recommended motion is that the Town of Port Hawkesbury officially supports and approves the Connect Port Hawkesbury and Beyond project in its entirety and approves funding for the project to a maximum of $812,000 and $161,000 pending ICIP, Invest in Canada Infrastructure Program funding approval.
Okay, so this is the recommendation coming forward from council. What is the wishes of council?
I'd move such motion, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McIver. Do we have a seconder?
Second, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Any other discussion on the motion that's on the floor?
Question?
The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved, and I will hand things over to Councillor McDougall. He just had one brief information addition.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. And just for information for council, I was talking to the young fellow today that was doing the garbage pickup, and he was doing a good job in my area anyway. And I asked him if he had any concerns or comments or anything I wanted me to bring to council. He just had one. He said there's a couple of people that are putting their bins down on hills and that, not close to the road. He said 90%, 95, maybe 99% are good. I'm just wondering if we can send a little note out saying that for the sake of convenience for the people that are working to have it as close to the driveway as they can, so they don't have to be going down snowbanks.
Sure, that's a great suggestion. Thank you for bringing it forward, Councillor McDougall. I know Nicole isn't on our call, but perhaps Terry or Jason can bring that forward to Nicole, and she can just put out a little reminder via social media.
Yep, certainly, Your Worship. Thank you for that comment.
Thank you.
Councillor McIver, did you have a question or comment?
No, Your Worship, I'm fine.
Okay, no problem. Anything else to add, Councillor McDougall?
No, that's fine.
Perfect. I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Thank you everyone for your time and have a good evening. Take care.
Take care.
Don't forget to quarantine when you come back from Mulgrave, eh?
Okay,